She was cursed to never feel love, until the vampire king claimed her. I was 23 years old when I discovered I would never be able to love. Not by choice, not from trauma, but because a witch ripped that ability from me before I was even born. And you know what's worse? For years, everyone around me treated me like a monster because of it. They humiliated me. They broke me. Until he appeared, with eyes red as embers and a dangerous promise on his lips. They will pay for every tear you shed, and you, my cursed one, will become the most powerful creature this world has ever seen. My name is Elena Volkov, and this is the story of how I went from being the most despised girl in town to becoming the Queen of Shadows. Follow the channel for more stories and like the video. Let me tell you what my life was like before him. I won't romanticize it. I won't soften it. It was hell. I grew up in Ravenswood, a small town in the countryside where everyone knew everyone. And everyone knew there was something wrong with me. When I was 8 years old, my dog died. I found him in the yard, cold and stiff. My mother cried for days. My father held a funeral in the garden. And me? I just looked at the body and felt nothing. "Elena, aren't you going to cry for Thor?" my mother asked, with that look of disappointment I would come to know all too well. "I can't," I replied, too honest for an 8-year-old. Her gaze changed that day, as if she had finally confirmed something she had always suspected. At 12, my grandmother died. At the wake, everyone cried. Except me. People started to whisper, "What a strange child. She has no heart. Something is wrong with her." At 15, a boy from school declared his feelings for me. Matthias. He was kind, funny, popular. Any girl would dream of that. "I really like you, Elena," he said, his cheeks red. I looked at him and felt that familiar emptiness. "I'm sorry, Matthias. I don't feel the same way." It seemed simple, right? Wrong. The next day, the whole school knew. And the narrative changed. I wasn't just the girl who rejected Matthias. I was the ice girl, the psychopath, the heartless one. The bullying started slowly, notes in my backpack. "You're a robot. You're not human. No one will ever love you." Then it got worse. At 17, I tried to befriend a group of girls. They invited me to a party. I was excited, or at least, I tried to pretend I was. The party was at a secluded house. When I arrived, I realized I was the only guest. "Look who showed up," Melissa, the group's leader, said with a venomous smile. "The heartless girl." They surrounded me, 5 girls, all laughing. "We made a bet," Melissa continued. "Can you feel pain?" Before I could react, one of them threw cold drink on me. Another pushed me into the mud. They filmed everything. They laughed. They called me a monster. "At least monsters feel anger." Melissa spat. "You feel nothing. You're empty. Pathetic." They posted the video online. The next day, the whole school had seen it. The comments were cruel. "She deserves it." Finally, someone put that psychopath in her place. "I bet she doesn't even care." And you know what's worse? They were right. I couldn't care. I watched the video, read the comments, and felt only that familiar void. But my body reacted. I couldn't sleep. I didn't eat. My mother looked at me with pity mixed with disgust. "And why don't you fight back, Elena?" she screamed one night. "Why don't you cry? Why don't you feel anything?" "I don't know," I screamed back, for the first time showing some emotion. "I didn't choose to be like this." She recoiled, tears in her eyes. "I did this to you," she whispered. "I did this." Before I could ask what she meant, she left the room. I moved out of Ravenswood as soon as I turned 18. I went to the capital, got a job at a coffee shop, rented a tiny apartment. I thought things would get better. They didn't. The void followed me. I tried dating. Empty performances that always ended with the same phrase, "You're too cold, Elena." It's like dating a wall. I tried to make friends, but people noticed. They always noticed that there was something wrong with me. At work, I was efficient but distant. My boss, Mrs. Cardoso, a bitter woman in her 50s, loved to humiliate me. "Elena, you forgot the sugar on table 7, she would say loudly, in front of everyone. "But I don't expect much from someone as disengaged as you." The other employees laughed, especially Rodrigo, the barista who always made a point of sabotaging me. One day, he spilled hot coffee on my hand, accidentally. "Oops," he said, smiling. "And did you feel anything, or are you still the ice queen?" My hand was red, burning, but I couldn't process the pain emotionally, only physically. "I'm fine," I replied, mechanically. He laughed louder. "You're creepy, you know, like a real psychopath." That word, psychopath. It had haunted me since adolescence. 3 weeks before he appeared, the worst happened. I was walking home from work, late at night. The streets were empty. I heard footsteps behind me. When I turned, I saw her, Melissa, the same girl who humiliated me years ago. But she wasn't alone. There were 3 people with her, 2 men and another woman. "I don't believe it," Melissa said, approaching. Elena Volkov, the heartless girl. My stomach tightened, not from fear, but from something close to it. "Leave me alone, Melissa." She laughed, that cruel laugh I knew so well. "You know, I told my friends about you, about how you're empty." They didn't believe it. She stepped closer. So I thought, let's test it. Before I could react, one of the men grabbed me. The other took my phone. "Let's see if you feel anything now," Melissa said, and slapped me across the face. The physical pain was there, but the emotional, nothing. They laughed. They pushed me. They tore my bag. They threw my belongings on the ground. "Look at her," the other woman screamed. "She's not even crying. Because she's a monster," Melissa spat in my face. "Always has been." They left me there, on the ground, surrounded by the remains of my bag, and for the first time in my life, I wished I could feel something. Anything. Anger. Sadness. Humiliation. But there was only emptiness. I dragged myself home. I took a shower. I looked in the mirror and saw the bruises forming on my face. And then, for the first time in years, I cried, not from sadness, but from pure frustration. "What's wrong with me?" I whispered to my reflection. "Why am I like this?" No one answered. But that night, at 3:33 in the morning, he appeared. I woke up to the sound of the window opening. My apartment was on the 3rd floor. The window was locked. I was sure of it. But when I opened my eyes, it was wide open, and he was there, sitting in the armchair next to my bed, watching, as if he had all the time in the world. My first thought was, I'm being robbed. My second thought died when our eyes met. He was impossible, not just beautiful, but of a supernatural beauty. Hair black as a moonless night, pale skin that seemed carved from marble, aristocratic and sharp features. He wore a dark overcoat that seemed straight out of another century, but it was his eyes that held me captive. Red, glowing, hypnotic. "You won't scream," he said. It wasn't a question. It was an order. And he was right, because for the first time in my life, I felt something beyond the void, something intense, electric, terrifying. Who are you?" I managed to whisper. He tilted his head, studying me as if I were a rare work of art. My name is Alaric Dracul. I am the vampire king of Eastern Europe. He stood up, moving with a grace that defied the laws of physics. And you, Elena Volkov, are mine. My blood ran cold. Vampires don't exist. He smiled. And I saw the fangs. Do you truly believe that? He walked around the bed, like a predator circling its prey. You, who have spent your whole life knowing you are different, who never fit in, who always knew there was something more to this world than humans can see. He was right. I always knew. What do you want from me? Alaric stopped in front of the window, looking at the city below. I have spent 300 years searching for you, Elena. 300 years following a prophecy. And finally, he turned, his red eyes glowing with dangerous intensity. Finally, I found you. Prophecy? My voice came out shaky. He approached, so close I could feel the cold emanating from him. You were cursed before you were even born. Your mother made a pact with a witch. She wanted protection for you. Protection against creatures like me. He touched my face, and his fingers were ice. The witch agreed. But she exacted a price. She cursed you to never feel true love. Because love, Elena. He leaned in, his lips brushing my ear. Love is the only thing that can break her protection. My heart pounded. My mother, she knew. She always knew. Alaric stepped back, giving me space to breathe. And she carried that guilt her whole life, because she didn't know the curse would have this side effect, that you would be incapable of feeling any love. Romantic, familial, fraternal. Nothing. Tears burned my eyes. Why are you telling me this? His red eyes glowed with something that looked like possessiveness. Because there is a prophecy that speaks of a woman born without the capacity to love, but whose heart, once awakened, would have the power to unite or destroy all supernatural realms. He held my chin, forcing me to look at him. And I, Elena, want you to destroy those who hurt you. And then, I want you by my side, as my queen. In the days that followed, Alaric didn't leave me. He appeared every night, always at 3:33 a.m., always at my window, always with that gaze that seemed to see through me. And each night, he told me more. The witch who cursed you is named Morgana, he said one night, watching the city from my window. She is one of the oldest and most powerful witches alive. So why did she do it? Alaric turned, his eyes glowing in the darkness. Because she knew about the prophecy. She knew you would be born. And she wanted to ensure you never reached your true power. He approached. But she made a mistake. She didn't account for me. Why do you care? I asked, my voice breaking. Yeah, why did you spend 300 years looking for me? For the first time, I saw something beyond possessiveness in his eyes. I saw loneliness. Because I was also cursed, Elena. He sat beside me on the bed. 500 years ago, I loved a woman, a human. Her name was Isabel, and when she died, his voice became distant. I swore I would never love again. But the prophecy says only true love can break your curse. And when that happens, you will become the most powerful creature that has ever existed. Half human, half something else. He held my hand. And I believe, Elena, that you are the only one who can make me feel again. My heart raced. For the first time, I felt something close to hope. How do we break the curse? Alaric smiled, a dangerous smile. First, you need to learn to feel, and for that, he stood up. You need to confront those who hurt you. Alaric didn't turn me into a vampire. Not immediately. He said my power would come from within, not from a bite. But he trained me. Every night, he took me to abandoned places, empty warehouses, condemned buildings, and there, he taught me. You need to learn to channel your emotions, he would say, as he made me run, fight, resist. Even if you don't feel them now, they are there, buried, waiting. I doubted, but I tried. He taught me how to fight. Quick, precise, lethal movements. He taught me how to use weapons, knives, stakes, even swords. Why am I learning this? I asked one night, breathless after a particularly brutal session. Because when your curse breaks, there will be those who want to destroy you. He wiped blood from my lip with his thumb, and I won't let that happen. But the training wasn't just physical. Close your eyes, he commanded one night. And think of those who hurt you. I obeyed, and for the first time, I allowed the memories to surface. Melissa, Rodrigo, my boss, all those who laughed, who humiliated me, who called me a monster. What do you feel? Alaric whispered. Nothing, I replied, frustrated. Lie. He held my face. You feel anger. You just don't know how to access it. But I will teach you. And he did. Week after week, he forced me to relive every humiliation, every pain, every moment I wished I could feel something. And slowly, something began to awaken. 3 weeks later, Alaric took me back to the coffee shop where I used to work. It's time, he said. Time for what? For you to face those who hurt you. He smiled, and there was something dark in that smile. Starting with your boss? My heart pounded, not from fear, but from something akin to anticipation. We entered the coffee shop after hours. Mrs. Cardoso was alone, counting the cash register. When she saw me, her face contorted in disgust. Elena, what are you doing here? You were fired last week. I had been, because Rodrigo lied, saying I stole money from the register. I came to get what's mine, I replied, my voice surprisingly steady. She laughed. You have nothing here. Now get out before I call the police. Alaric took a step forward, and the air in the room changed. Mrs. Cardoso froze, her eyes wide with terror. Well, what? You humiliated Elena repeatedly, Alaric said, his voice low and dangerous. You treated her like trash. You allowed others to hurt her. He approached, and she backed up until she hit the wall. And now, you will pay. I'm sorry, she stammered. I didn't know. Didn't know what? I interrupted, surprising myself. That I was human. That I had feelings. Something warm began to grow in my chest. You treated me like nothing, and now you want apologies. For the first time in my life, I felt anger. And it was glorious. Alaric smiled, sensing the change in me. Show her, Elena. Show her what you're capable of. I didn't know what I was doing, but my body knew. I raised my hand, and something glowed at my fingertips. Golden light, warm, powerful. Mrs. Cardoso screamed. What are you? I am the one you called a monster, I replied, my voice echoing with a power I didn't know I possessed. And you were right. The golden light enveloped her. It didn't hurt her, but it forced her to feel. Every humiliation she caused, every cruel word, every look of contempt. She fell to her knees, crying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Alaric touched my shoulder. Enough. She has learned her lesson. I recoiled, and the light disappeared. Mrs. Cardoso was on the floor, trembling. "If you tell anyone about this," Alaric said, his voice icy, "I will return, and next time, I won't be so merciful." We left the coffee shop, and for the first time in my life, I felt powerful. After that night, things changed. I started to feel, not completely, not yet, but small glimpses. Anger when I remembered the humiliations. Satisfaction when I saw the fear in Mrs. Cardoso's eyes. Something deeper when I looked at Alaric. "It's working," he said one night, as we watched the city from my rooftop. "You are awakening." "But I still can't feel love," I replied, frustrated. He turned to me, his red eyes glowing under the moonlight. "Love is the hardest emotion, Elena, especially for someone who has been taught their whole life that they are unworthy of it." He touched my face. "But you will get there. I promise. What if I don't?" "You will." He leaned in, his lips inches from mine. "Because I won't give up on you." And then he kissed me. It was my first real kiss. Not an empty performance, but something real. And for the first time, I felt something close to desire, but not everything was victories. A week later, Alaric arrived at my window with a grim expression. "We have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "The queen of the northern clan. Her name is Seraphine." He entered the room, closing the window behind him. "She found out about you." My stomach tightened. "And what does she want?" "To kill you." Alaric held my shoulders. "She knows the prophecy, and she fears what you could become, an uncontrollable creature, a creature that could destroy us all. But I don't want that," I protested. "I just want—" "It doesn't matter what you want," he interrupted. "She will come for you. And when she does, she won't come alone." "So what do we do?" Alaric smiled, a dangerous smile. "We prepare, and when she comes," his eyes gleamed, "we show her why you are the Queen of Shadows." They came on a new moon night. I was sleeping when I felt it. A cold presence. Multiple presences. Alaric appeared at my window at the same instant. "They're here," he said, his voice tense. "Stay behind me." But before I could answer, my apartment door exploded. 5 vampires entered, all with hungry red eyes and exposed fangs. And behind them, her. Seraphine was beautiful in a terrifying way. Snow-white hair, pale skin, ice-blue eyes. She wore a black dress that seemed made of shadows. "Alaric," she said, her voice like cracking ice. "Long time no see." "Seraphine." Alaric positioned himself in front of me. "You shouldn't be here." She laughed, a humorless sound. "And you shouldn't be protecting this abomination." Her blue eyes fixed on me. "So you're the girl of the prophecy. What a disappointment." Anger swelled in my chest. "Who do you think you are?" "I am the queen of the northern clan. I have ruled for 1,000 years. She took a step forward. "And I will not allow a human to destroy everything I have built." "She is not just human," Alaric said, his voice low and dangerous. "And you know it." "Then let's test that." Seraphine motioned to her vampires. "Kill her." They attacked. Alaric fought like a demon. He was fast, brutal, efficient. But there were too many. I saw a silver blade pierce his chest, and something inside me broke. It wasn't gradual, it was instantaneous, like a dam had burst inside my chest. I felt everything: love, rage, despair, power. My eyes glowed, not red like theirs, but golden. And when I screamed, the sound that came from my throat was not human. The vampires froze. Seraphine recoiled, terror plastered on her face. "Impossible," she whispered. I didn't know what I was doing, but my body knew. Power flowed through me like a river of liquid fire. Golden light emanated from my skin, illuminating the dark apartment. I raised my hand, and the vampires were thrown against the walls like rag dolls. Their bodies disintegrated into ash before they even hit the ground. Seraphine tried to flee. I didn't let her. In a move that defied physics, I was in front of her. My hand wrapped around her throat, lifting her off the ground. "You called me an abomination," I said, my voice echoing with power. "But you're wrong. I'm not an abomination. I'm evolution." Her blue eyes were wide with terror. "Please," she whispered. "You showed no mercy. Why should I?" I squeezed harder. "But I am not like you. I do not kill for pleasure." I threw her against the wall. She fell to the ground, coughing. "Go, and tell the other clans." My golden eyes blazed. "Tell them that the Queen of Shadows has awakened, and that anyone who comes after me will regret it." Seraphine disappeared in a burst of shadows, and then the power left me. My legs gave out. Alaric caught me before I fell. "Elena," he whispered, touching my face. "You did it. You broke the curse." Tears streamed down my face, but this time, they were tears of liberation. "I feel," I whispered, my voice breaking. "I feel everything. I feel you." He pulled me into a kiss, and for the first time in my life, I felt love. In the days that followed, Alaric helped me control my power. I was no longer human, but I wasn't a vampire either. I was something more. "You are a shadow Nephilim," Alaric explained. "Half human, half something divine, something that shouldn't exist. Now what?" He smiled. "Now, you finish what you started." Melissa was the first. I found her at a nightclub, laughing with her friends. When she saw me, her face paled. "Elena?" I smiled. And it wasn't a gentle smile. "Hi, Melissa. Remember me?" She tried to run. I didn't let her. I didn't hurt her physically. But I used my power to make her feel every humiliation she caused, every pain, every tear. When I finished, she was on the floor, crying. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." "I used to be sorry too," I replied. "But now I feel power." Rodrigo was next. Then everyone else who had hurt me. I didn't kill them, but I broke them. In the same way they had tried to break me, and for the first time in my life, I felt complete. 3 months later, Alaric took me to his castle in Eastern Europe. It was an ancient fortress, hidden in the mountains, and there, all the vampire clans were gathered. "They have come to meet you," Alaric said, holding my hand, "and to recognize you as queen." "I don't want to be queen," I protested. "You have no choice." He smiled. "You are the most powerful creature in existence, and they know it." We entered the main hall. Hundreds of vampires watched us. Some with fear, others with respect. Seraphine was there. She bowed when she saw me. "Queen of Shadows," she said, her voice respectful. "I bow before you." Alaric led me to the throne. 2 thrones, actually. One for him, one for me. "Elena Volkov," he said, his voice echoing through the hall. "You were cursed to never feel love. But you broke that curse. You became something the world has never seen." He held my hand. "And now, I ask you, do you accept to rule by my side, as my queen, as my equal?" I looked at him, at that vampire who found me when I was broken, who taught me to feel, who loved me when I didn't know how to love back. "Yes," I replied, my voice firm. "I accept." He pulled me into a kiss, and the hall erupted in applause. But there was one last thing I needed to do. 1 week after the coronation, I returned to Ravenswood. My mother still lived in the same house. When she opened the door and saw me, her face paled. "Elena." "Hi, Mom." She started to cry. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know the curse would do this to you. I just wanted to protect you." I hugged her, and for the first time, I felt love for her. "I know," I whispered, "and I forgive you." We spent hours talking. She told me everything, about the witch, about the pact, about how she carried the guilt her whole life. "But now you're free," she said, touching my face. "You're happy." "I am," I replied, smiling. "For the first time in my life, I am." They say love is the most powerful emotion. They were right. I didn't become a vampire. I became something more, a creature of light and shadow, of love and power. Alaric became my king, my partner, my eternal. Together we unified the clans, rewrote the rules, created a new world where supernatural creatures and humans could coexist. It all started with a curse that stole my love, until the Vampire King taught me to feel again. But the story doesn't end here. Morgana, the witch who cursed me, is still out there, and she's not happy with what I have become. And when she comes, and she will come, I will be ready. Because I'm no longer the broken girl everyone humiliated. I am Elena Volkov, the Queen of Shadows, and no one will break me again. Because sometimes, the greatest curse is also the greatest blessing. And love always finds a way, even when you think you're incapable of feeling, even when the whole world calls you a monster. Love finds a way, and when it does, you become unstoppable.